Okay, we will do this third. Okay, well, good morning. Everyone's doing well. It's nice to see the sunshine this morning. So my name is Anita Nicholson, and I am a nursing professor at the University of Iowa College of Nursing, as well as a member of this church. And I feel so blessed to get to come and to present you on the work that I do with nursing students in Eswatini. And many of you have been supporting me the last 15 years with fundraising efforts for healthcare initiatives in Eswatini. And words cannot express my appreciation. So thank you to all of you who have been so supportive to this initiative over the years. So the course that I teach is a community public health nursing practicum. And the students in Eastern Iowa are studying public health, population health here in Eastern Iowa. Well, we get to focus on the population of Eswatini. And you'll see all the population challenges as I do this presentation, which will help you to understand that, wow, this is a life-changing experience for our students. It's a life-changing experience for me. Our church congregation has gone on a mission trip in the past, and we hope to do one in the future. So as I'm talking, I'll share about the NGOs and the nurses and the healthcare that we work with. And as we think about our next mission trip, to share those experiences with you as well, to work alongside some of these healthcare providers and NGOs. And you wouldn't have to be in healthcare to be able to support them and the work that they do. So hopefully that helps give you an introduction. Oh, thank you. Yes, stop me along the way. I'm good at using jargon. So an NGO is it's a non-government organization. And so you'll see many of the non-government organizations that we work with. So thank you, please. And please make this interactive as well, because many of you have heard me talk before and will have questions. So first, where is Eswatini? It was formerly known as Swaziland, and in 2018, the king of the country changed the name to the name prior to British influence, and thus the name Eswatini. So it is located in Southern Africa. It's landlocked between South Africa and Mozambique, and it's a country that is about the size of New Jersey. So I looked at this map because it really helps you to see how mountainous the country is. And despite the small country, there's a high belt in this part, in the north and the west side of the country. As you go down the mountains, they call that the mid belt, and then the low belt. And the challenge of the low belt is they just don't get enough rain. And so people who live in the low belt, which again is the eastern side of the country, all the way down to the southern part of the country, they have great challenges with, okay, thank you, thank you. They have great challenges because of not getting enough rainfall. So this is a nice picture that helps you to see the mountainscape and helps you to see the houses and how rural this country is. So that just helps you to get a perspective. And 70% of the population live in the rural areas, and 70% of the population experiences extreme poverty. So they have challenges with just basic needs that we take for granted. Their homes, many of them are made of mud and stick. So imagine during rainy season, what that does, that the houses sometimes can't withstand the torrential rains that will come during rainy season. They have difficulty with water. They have difficulty finding jobs to even be able to support themselves. So when I teach this course, I frame it around the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. I think it's important to share with all of you as well, just to be a little bit knowledgeable of global health issues. And we really focus, all of these 17 sustainable developmental goals are important, but with my focus on health, the first six are what we really focus on in the course that I teach. So I've already talked about the extreme poverty that people experience. And along with that then ties to sustainable goal number 2, which is zero hunger. So if people are in extreme poverty, and they experience drought, they don't have jobs, you can only imagine how hard it is for people to have food. And I'm laying this foundation because you'll be seeing the organizations that we work with and what these organizations are doing in order to help. The first goal is good health and well-being. And Eswatini has the highest HIV rate in the world. So their prevalence of HIV is around 25%. So if you would look at this room, a fourth, if you were in Eswatini and you were Swazi, a fourth of you would be HIV positive in this room. So just to give you significance of that. But the good news is that people are being tested, they're being treated, and they're being compliant with their antiretroviral medication. So people are living with HIV. And I am so proud to be a nurse, and I am so proud of nursing in Eswatini because it's the nurses that have changed this pandemic. They have worked tirelessly since the early 2000s of going out, encouraging people to test, encouraging, doing the counseling that's needed to get them connected to healthcare, to get their medications, and then to be compliant with their medications. So that is just really exciting, and it's just been it's been so incredible to work alongside these nurses, to see the work that they do, and to see that the impact they have. And so why am I talking about nurses and not physicians and other healthcare providers? They're just not there. It's such a small country, it's so impoverished, there's not enough physicians to go around. And the physicians that they do have are probably from the other African countries. So they are able to get some physicians to come to the country. So, yeah.
Has that had an impact on the HIV rate yet, or is that still a goal to come?
You know what? That's an excellent question. So there's a benchmark out there by the World Health Organization of 95, 95, 95. So what this means, and Eswatini has exceeded it. So thank you for asking that question. So 95% of the population, or they've reached the goal that 95% of the population has been tested. They have received the counseling and are taking antiretroviral medications, and they're getting their viral load down to 0, which is undetectable, which means then that they're less likely to pass it along. So Eswatini has reached those goals and actually exceeded that. So because of that, the new incidence of HIV has declined dramatically. And so that is really exciting. And it's all because of education and support. So excellent question. So now imagine this. Imagine people are living with HIV. Can you think of what might be the next health challenge now that is growing in Eswatini? Cancer. And for women, it's cervical cancer. So women have the highest rate of cervical cancer in the world in Eswatini and Sub-Saharan Africa. So you're probably saying, well, why? So even if I had HIV and I'm compliant with my antiretroviral medications, my immune system is suppressed. And with that suppressed immune system, I now am more prone to cancer. And so for all of you out there that have had children and grandchildren, you probably remember that your children and grandchildren, and even you, have been vaccinated for HPV. Young women, young men, since 2006, in the US, the HPV vaccine arrived, and it's common. I remember my boys were junior high age when they received the HPV vaccine. The HPV vaccine didn't arrive in Eswatini and wasn't started to be delivered until 2023. That was 2 years ago. And I had been, you know me, I'm a very emotional person. I have cried buckets of tears over watching young women in Eswatini dying of cervical cancer because they hadn't had the vaccine. So you can imagine how excited all of us healthcare professionals have been when the vaccine arrived, and the nurses have done an amazing job of rolling it out. And they rolled it out through the school system. And again, it's nurses that are taking the lead because there's no one else to take the lead in this. So you'll understand why I'm laying this foundation as I go through my talk. And in addition to that, gender equality is so important. In developing countries, it's so common for young girls and young women to be abused and to be taken advantage of. And that's been something that we've really been working on in this country to empower these young women and to speak up if they're being abused and to educate. So that too is something that we work on and that is really important. And then last of what is going to tie to the theme of what we talked about today is clean water and sanitation. So imagine not having your running water that you have in your home today, and just how convenient life is because you're able to turn on the tap or able to get into the shower. Imagine what that would be like of not having that. 40% of the population in the rural areas still don't have access to clean water. And so you'll see that, and I'll talk about that as we go. And sanitation is important as well to prevent disease. So if you don't have running water, you need to have what they call a pit latrine, which is an outhouse. My dad's 87, and he remembers when they first got their indoor toilet. And I think he might have even been in his teenage years at that time because he lived in the rural farm area. So imagine what we take for granted because of water and sanitation. So again, this is laying the foundation for what I'm going to be talking about. So I am so blessed that we now are networking with the Ministry of Health in Eswatini. And we have been working side by side with them in really helping with the cervical cancer prevention and the HPV rollout. So I'm just back 2 weeks from our travel abroad. And so this is a recent picture of members from the Ministry of Health. And for those who do remember my dear friend Jagalili, Tanya Moilanini was there as well. Unfortunately, I don't know why she didn't get in this picture as well. Jagalili is a dear friend and faith community nurse friend, and that's also who we support through fundraising as well. But so what they've really done for us is they've helped to guide us. So when you're teaching community public health nursing that's focused on population, you have to assess and you have to know what the needs are and what the people need. Well, HIV is going quite well. So what's next? What do they need help with? And they need help with cervical cancer prevention and education. And so we were really fortunate that they were able to connect us with what the next phase of our education of our nursing students was going to look like. And so we are really working on helping them with cervical cancer prevention. So we've worked alongside the National Cancer Care Control Unit, which is an arm of the Ministry of Health, and they have mobile clinics that go out to women in the rural area so that they can get screened for cervical cancer. So this is what the inside of a mobile unit looks like. You can see they've got an exam room. There's one exam room on one side of the mobile unit and another exam room on the other. So women rotate through first, they get breast screening done, and then after the breast screening, they go and do the cervical cancer screening. And what's really interesting that they're able to do, if they find, they're able to use what they call VIA, which is visual inspection with acetic acid, which is just a vinegar solution. They are able to look and paint the cervix with acetic acid and look at it and see if there's abnormal cells. And if there's abnormal cells, they're able to treat it right then and there through cryotherapy or through thermal ablation. And so if you can catch those cancer cells early, then you're going to decrease the risk of having cancer spread and metastasize in the future. So incredibly important. So our students really enjoy working alongside this team and being a part of that team. And we get some good information. We get the latest updates of what's going on with their initiatives related to cervical cancer and other cancer preventions. But the biggest thing they wanted us to do is to hold educational workshops with nursing students in the country. So we work with 2 different colleges of nursing in the country, and we hold interactive workshops. So through those workshops, they too have been educated on cervical cancer prevention. The one advantage we have is that we have a connection with the Ministry of Health, and we have the most updated information that we're able to share. So they're really working on together, talking about that importance of cervical cancer screening, the importance of if you have an abnormal finding that you get it treated right away, and also then be knowledgeable of what other treatments are. Since probably 2022, chemotherapy is now in the country. Prior to that, it was not. Radiation treatment is still not in the country, so people have to go to South Africa. And you can imagine, without having funds and money, you're not able to go and get that treatment. But the beauty of this workshop is we're really increasing fluency of the ability to talk about cervical cancer screening. You can imagine me, I'm in the market and I'm talking with a woman and I'll casually, they'll ask, why are you here? And I'll share why we're here. And I'll say, by the way, have you had cervical cancer screening done? So you gotta have this fluency and talk to people and have them to advocate for themselves because it's available. Clinics offer that screening, but people aren't necessarily going to that screening. So you can see how important this really is. So that's one thing that we've been working on, and that has been going incredibly well. And we feel so blessed to be a part of that. So another thing that we do is we collaborate with healthcare organizations and with non-government organizations. And so this is what I want to share with you. And as you're listening to to this presentation, I want you to think that in a year or so, hopefully we will do another mission trip to Eswatini. And these are the things that I would like for you to be involved in. And you don't have to be in healthcare. It's would you be willing to support these teams, these non-government organizations in what they do, and to learn and to have some literacy of global health challenges. So this is my current, I take 12 students with a teaching partner, Kim Nuxel, and this is just a few of the students in front of the hospital. One of our favorite places to work at the hospital is the home-based palliative care team. And they are the most inspirational nurses I have ever met in my life. And they give such amazing, comprehensive, quality care that is just absolutely beautiful. For those of you that went on the mission trip last time, you met Alan and Kathleen Hartman. They stopped traveling to Eswatini in 2023. They're now in their early 80s, but they came back. And so we were so blessed to work with them. And they came back because they put on training for the country on palliative care. So those of you that are healthcare related, you'll recognize LNAC being the top of the line for education on palliative care. And they brought that training to Eswatini. And with cancer rates being the highest in the world and the people not detecting their cancer early, you can imagine how important that palliative care training is. So we get in the vehicle, let me back up. You can see the top picture is students with the nurses in their vehicle where we go out into very rural areas to take care of patients that have been identified needing care, support in their home, and also palliative care as well. So we travel on rural roads and get to these rural homesteads. And so a team of nurses go out together and work. So they start their visit with prayer. About 90% of the population in Eswatini identify as Christian. And so prayer is very, very welcome in the homes. And so they start with prayer and then they really work on assessing. And they don't only assess the patient, but they assess the family members and how they're doing. If you can imagine that your loved one is dying of cancer, you can only imagine how much support you would need as the family member to be able to care for them. So lots of education goes on with the family because the families are the ones that are providing care. So this is really a great experience for our students to truly experience that holistic type of care. So they'll administer medications that need to be filled and make sure that everyone is attended to at the homestead before they leave. And prior to leaving, it's very common to sing and to end in prayer as well. And the students are just so inspired by the relationships that the nurses have with the patients and how they really connect and how they take the time to provide that care. And so one of the takeaways for our nursing students is how can they integrate some of what they've observed into their own healthcare practices? And you know that's even more challenging in the United States because it's about how many patients can you get in, how many patients can you get out, and time. So really, how can they be more intentional with the time that they have and really make that connection with individuals to try to incorporate that quality holistic care, affecting someone's spirituality and then being able to connect them to the spiritual care that they want and need. So I'm just, again, life-changing for our students.
How much time do you say they spend at an average homestead before they go back?
that's such a good question. So the question is, how much time do they spend? So they may, in a day's time, only get to 4 or 5 homesteads, because if you ask them, how long do you think we'll be at this homestead? They'll say, I don't know, because we don't leave until everybody has. So the disadvantage of that is there may be some homesteads that they don't get to that day, that they have to get to the next day. And they have 2 teams going out. So team is going out in one direction of the rural area, another team is going out to another area.
Average of,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, average of 2 hours.
2 hours, yeah, probably maybe a little less than 2 hours, because they have to travel long distances. But yeah, so they really spend their time. And I have to say that this home-based care is available because of donations. So Al and Kathleen Hartman have a foundation that's raising money. And the donations that we fundraise for here at Our Redeemer goes to help support this, because they just had to get a new 4-wheel drive truck, and you absolutely have to have 4-wheel drive to get around these rural roads. And it provides nutrition packs, it provides medications, dressing supplies, all of those things. The hospital cannot keep up with the cost of what this home care requires. Yeah.
The homesteads both, right, is there company?
A lot of times, yes. They will call by phone. Surprisingly, people do have phones even in the rural areas. People do prioritize their cell phone, what they call airtime. So yeah, they know that they're coming. That's an excellent question, because you wouldn't want to go that far and then not have family there to be. And you need the family there, because the family members are the ones that are assisting in providing the care. So good.
Coming monthly, or how often do they check on any given family?
That is a really good question. How frequently do they come? And they see the families probably about once a month. So, or if they get the phone call from the family to say, we really need you and we need you soon, then they will go the next day. But they have a huge population that they're seeing, because they have a nurse that goes through the hospital and identifies who will need follow-up. And so that helps them to know who needs to be seen. And they're so well known now that people call them and say, hey, we need to be added to your team. We want to be seen. So good. Excellent question. Thank you. Okay, so now I'm going to move on. What else do we do? So we work with these other non-government organizations, and this is going to tie to those sustainable developmental goals that we talked about. So we work with an organization called Operation Hope and with Possible Dreams International. So these people are not nurses. They are staff hired by these NGOs, and they do amazing work that helps support the health of the people. I love this picture. This is the team that we worked with when we traveled, and I'll show you other pictures of Operation Hope. So I'm going to tie them together, because they do stellar work. So what they do is they go out into the rural homesteads. They typically get a referral. So home-based care, palliative care will assess a homestead and say, oh my gosh, they need support. So they'll notify either Possible Dreams or Operation Hope. They cover different areas in this Lubumbo region, so they don't duplicate services. And so then this NGO, non-government organization, goes out and they assess. And this assessment is really comprehensive. They will assess the family structure, how many people are living in this homestead, because you can see there's a few mud and stick homes clustered together. They'll take and really assess the housing structure. Many times it's mud and stick and thatched roof that's falling apart, and the next big rain is going to wash it away. They assess what do they have for toilets. is do they have reliable pit latrine or outhouse for sanitation purposes? They assess their access to water. Many times the water accesses the local stream, which is being shared by cattle and goats and chickens and other things that make it non-sanitary. They assess electricity, which about 35% of the population does not have electricity. So if you don't have electricity, how are you gonna cook? But you cook with a fire and these big cast iron pots is how you end up cooking. They assess the employment. Is there any income coming into this home? So a lot of times people can get some work by someone who has a larger farm that has money to pay them. So that might be a source of income. A common source of income is the grandmothers that live at the homestead. And grandmother is called Go-Go. I have a cool name for grandma. I wanted to be called Go-Go for my kids, but my favorite didn't like it, so I'm not Go-Go. But I'm gonna miss them too. And so we'll see if that will stick. But anyway, Go-Go's make, they bring in from the government 900 rand for Imali. Well, the exchange rate is 1 to 18. So do your math quickly, that's $50 a month. This homestead, they had 12 people living at this homestead, and probably their income was equivalent to $50 a month. It doesn't go far. So then in their assessment, they will assess, okay, are they gardening? Do they have any fruit trees that they can live off? So we've got some really good trees that will avocado and mango and papaya and other fruit trees that if they have that, then they at least have a source of food. Or are they growing corn that they'll grind into meal? Or are they planting pumpkins, which are like our squash, to be able to have a source of food? They also assess the health status of the individuals, and are they HIV? Are they being compliant with their antiretrovirals? And sometimes then they'll get a referral to another healthcare organization such as home-based care if they were referred in a different way. They assess how far the children have to walk to school. So then what do they do with this assessment? This is the cool thing. So if they don't have water, because they're an NGO, these are NGOs, they rely on fundraising. So again, fundraising through here at the church helps to also support Possible Dreams International and Operation Hope. So it helps to provide water. Water tanks are a way that they're able to provide water. They build homes for people who are in mud and stick homes that are collapsing. They provide food packs for people that have those nutritional needs. But the hard part is that right now their funding for building houses has been really limited. This is not meant to be a political talk, and so all I'm going to say is that US aid has been stopped to African countries, including Eswatini and other developing countries, and PEPFAR has been stopped. Well, what's PEPFAR? PEPFAR is the President's Foundation to help with HIV/AIDS relief. And so programming for HIV support and education has ceased as well. So now there's even more need for donations for the organizations that were supported by USAID. Now that funding is gone, and so the organizations that are funded through Australia and other organizations are now being overloaded with needs. So fundraising needs are greater greater than ever. These are our dear friends from the Operation Hope, and they do the exact same thing. And so they're really supporting the people and the infrastructure. Another thing that they do is they help people plant their gardens. They help people with micro projects to be able to have some income generation. So you'll see that they're educated on the business model of raising chickens. Let me go to the next slide. Raising chickens, buy them inexpensive, small, raise them larger, sell them, you earn income. This picture in the upper right area, they're making fence. And in making fence, they're able to then sell that and have income generation. So there's so many possibilities for income generation that these NGOs are helping them with. So they're helping them, so we've shared what the challenges are. Now it's how you empower them to help them to be able to survive, to grow their own food, and you need water for that. So that's why water is so incredibly important. And you help them with these micro businesses so that they're able to support themselves. Another organization that we work with and that I'm so proud of is Hosea's Heart. And Hosea's Heart is a home for young girls who have been sexually abused and sex trafficked. They have 18 young women in this home. They range from 10 years old to in their early 20s. They provide housing, they provide education, they provide counseling. And Mary Kate Martin, one of the most inspiring women I have ever met. I don't have time to tell her story, but God led her to Eswatini and led her to developing this amazing NGO. And she allows us to be part of this amazing organization. So what do? We provide health education. And so we talk with the health mothers and with the teachers and what is it that their health needs are that they need. So we arrive the first afternoon and we do icebreaker activities. And these young people are so energetic and they're in a safe environment and they thrive. And so they dance and they are the most amazing dancers and it's a great outlet for them. So we usually do fun icebreaker activities and then the next day we come back and we do our health education. And my teaching partner Kim and I are constant. We've been going there since 2018, then we missed with COVID and now we've returned. And Ken and I are the constant. So they see us, they trust us, and then they trust our students. So in just a short amount of time, our students are developing these really therapeutic relationships that the health education goes incredibly well. So it is just exciting. And so they do take in people to come in and volunteer. So this is a place that I really too would love to take our church family and to do a volunteer project there as well. So this is a picture that we can actually share because of course these young women need to be protected. So we would never share on social media a picture of their faces, but this is a picture that we could share because they're protected. And then I need to give you a quick update on our faith community nurses. Java Lily and Tanya Way, they are doing amazing. Tanya Way just turned 85, Java Lily just turned 72, and they are as active as ever, training faith community nurses and supporting their community through all kinds of health initiatives. And Java Lily does all the faith community nurses work really well through their churches to support health initiatives. You guys will recognize this picture from, this is St. Philip's. It's a Catholic church that's shaped as a dome. It's just absolutely beautiful. But really what the faith community nurses are doing that's so wonderful is the education with the youth and helping them to make good decisions and to try to decrease that risky behavior that could lead to developing HIV in the future. And Jabu is just even so innovative. She too is supporting the youth and educating them on gardening, on raising pigs, buy them little, grow them big, sell them, make a profit. And that's the way these young people are able to pay for high school. Because primary education is free, but after 7th grade, going 8th grade to 12th grade is high school, and you have to pay tuition fees for that. And so helping these young people create some income when their families are so impoverished really helps to allow them to educate themselves by being able to pay their school fees. So gardening is something else that is also equally as important.
Rita, in your outreach area, what percentage of population speaks English?
That's an excellent question. What is the percentage that speaks English? Eswatini had British influence, so if people have been to school, they speak English. And so that's why it's so nice to be able to go, because we can communicate. Now, granted, when we're in the rural areas and people have not been to school, then our nurses and our colleagues from the NGOs help to translate for us. So, but that's the beauty, is that there's not a tremendous amount of a language barrier because of the prior British influence and people speak English. So thank you, excellent question. Other questions? So again, I envision that when we do our next mission trip, I really would like to take the congregation alongside what I already do there. And you know what comes to my mind is, what do we give to the population? Because you want to, when you do work that I'm doing with nursing students, and anytime you're working global health, you want to make sure that you're being respectful, you're working within the country, and then you're giving a little as well. You know what the biggest thing is that we give is presence and encouragement. Because we are so blown away by the amazing work that they're doing, that we share with them, wow, you guys are doing a great job. Look at what you are accomplishing. So us giving that encouragement is the best thing you can do. So on a mission trip, the best thing that we could do is giving that presence. Having them, the healthcare workers, the staff of these NGOs, feeling heard and seen. Can you imagine what it would be like on a daily basis going out and seeing that extreme poverty and how heavy their hearts are? But to know that there's people that are praying for them, people that are fundraising for them, people that are giving encouragement, it makes a difference. It makes a huge difference. And you've always seen my passion. For those of you who've known me over the past 15 years, you've seen my passion for this. But this is life-changing for the people that go and see and experience this. You think about life totally different. You think about those sustainable developmental goals and things that we take for granted. They don't have. And that support is needed and empowerment. And all of these organizations that we're working with are empowering the people of Eswatini. And that's the change.
Some really radical here.
Yeah.
I'm going to volunteer my wife for going on your mission.
Together as well as many other members. So oh my gosh, we had the best time. It is truly my TV. But again, I want to emphasize to go along this journey, and I hope this gives you some idea of what this is about. And thank you for always sending my money. Thank you, Pastor, for allowing this account at church, which is a 501c, so it makes that fundraising even easier. And all the money that's fundraised goes right to people. It's amazing. So thank you. I feel so blessed.
Are any of the organizations that we support through LCMS, involved? I'm thinking the Lutheran Hour, I'm thinking, Effort International, those sorts of things.
You know, I've never done that, so that's really good. So for those of you that are really good at that, talk to me and help me on who to reach out to get more support, because there's more support than ever needed. But our world vision is amazing. And what I don't know is I do know that World Vision is supported by USAID. So, but I don't know what that bigger impact is on them. So I imagine our donations are even more important than ever as well. So thank you. You're always welcome to talk to me about FOTD. And my favorite topic beyond my grandchildren. So, Hello says thank you.